It's great to meet you. We've not met before. I wonder whether you might tell me a little bit about yourself before we move into the coaching.
Yeah, sure. I run two businesses, which are interconnected. One is a counselling and supervision service, and the other is a counselling college. So I teach counselling to level 4 diploma status. Um, but both of those jobs are sort of really closely interconnected with one another. I think. Yes, I'm busy. I'm a busy
Busy
person.
man, busy man.
Yeah.
Well, it's really good of you to volunteer to be my client this afternoon, and we're going to have 20 minutes to work together. I'm conscious that we've not met before. I'm wondering whether you have any questions for me in terms of how I coach or.
I think really, yeah, I'm interested really to see kind of how prescriptive you might be or how challenging you might be, because the work that I do is very much sitting back and letting the client do all the work really. I'm just wondering how much different that might be working with
Right.
you.
Yeah. Well, the purpose of today's session, I mean, obviously you're my client and my
Yeah.
primary focus is, being the best I can be for you. But also it's also to provide an example of coaching for others that might be interested in looking at the AEC and our courses and our content. With that in mind, I'll be mainly just demonstrating coaching skills. So I'll be listening and asking you questions. This isn't a confidential session as such because obviously we're doing this as a film, so I can't offer you any guarantees of any confidentiality at all. And I just want to check in how that is from your perspective.
More than happy with that. Thank you.
You are in control of the content that you bring, and therefore, if at any time you feel that you're moving into territory that you don't want to share more widely, then please ask me to pause and we'll either pause or take a break or stop or reconfigure how we're working together. I mean, sometimes when you get into the nuts and bolts of the coaching, it's easy to forget that we're in a slightly public environment. So if that happens to you, just let me know.
Lovely. Thank you.
Have you been coached before?
No, never.
Never.
No.
Okay. Okay. So, if at any time, you know, the coaching becomes uncomfortable in any way or it's not working for you, give me feedback in the moment. I'm totally open to that. And we can shift and re-agree how to move forward.
Brilliant. Thank
We're
you.
going to have 20 minutes to work together today. Part of my responsibility as your coach will be to manage that time, and my clock is up in front of me. So if you see my eyes going up, that's part of it's not an inattentiveness to you. It's part of just the way that I managed the time to look up at my clock.
Thank you.
And how are you feeling today in terms of how robustly you would like me to bring challenge to the coaching?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling I think if you feel that you need to give me a challenge, then please do. I'm okay with that.
Well, my role is really to meet your needs.
Okay.
So I want to provide you with the right level of challenge. And I don't know what that might be like for you. So if, for example, I said 0 out of 10 is I'm going to just give you tons of support and there won't be any challenge at all. And a 10 out of 10 is I'm still going to give you all that support, but I'm going to match it with the maximum challenge you could possibly face.
Yeah.
Where would you want me to position you on that scale?
I think an 8 or a 9 feels pretty good.
Oh, okay. Well, in 20 minutes, we might not get to an 8 or a 9.
Okay.
Certainly if it starts to go towards 10, tell me and we'll bring it
Yeah.
down. And generally what you might experience is that the level of challenge increases as we go through the session.
Yes. Okay.
So what topic have you brought to work with today?
I was. It's to do with procrastination. So as I was saying, I've got quite a lot of different things that I do,
Mm.
and I have a spreadsheet list that I work from, and that's kind of my work Bible. So I will write all of the jobs that I've got to do from my diary into my work list. I have other recurring jobs, so sort of just general tasks that need to be done that will also be on that list. And anything that I've not done from yesterday or the day before or what have you. So everything goes on the list, and then I kind of just prioritize it, work my way through it. And what I notice is that when I've got a huge amount of work, so if it's either a really big project or just lots of things going on, I can be really, really active and I'm really engaged in getting the work done. When I get down to sort of 15 jobs or less, I kind of just I get a bit bored and I just give up, to be honest. I can look at a job and go, well, I've only got 15 of them to do, so I do the typical things. You know, I've got a very tidy cutlery drawer. Yeah, it's suddenly the car does need to be tidy, something like that. So and I will always find something else to do.
Mm.
But the stuff that I kind of the stuff I should be doing is something that kind of just keeps getting pushed back.
I noticed the should there.
Mm, yeah, yeah, it is. It's and I think I use the word should because I could do it, but I feel I ought to do it. It's stuff that needs to be done. So none
Mm.
of the work that I've got to do is stuff where I can think I can just forget about it. It's generally it can be stuff like marking work or writing my notes from clients and things like that. It's all stuff that I know that is important work for me to do, but I can get
Mm.
to that point where it's like, oh, I'd much rather I'll go onto YouTube and watch videos of cats or whatever it happens to be. Just really sort of completely stuff that I know that I shouldn't be doing compared to the stuff that I have to do.
So I'm getting a sense that you've done lots of thinking about this already. What things have you tried so far?
I've tried um on my work list highlighting stuff in different colors and sort of going it's in red and in bold, so therefore it's really important that I get this piece of work done. Or um I'll write it on a separate bit of paper, so I'll actually have it on a sort of on a notepad in front of me, so as well as having it on screen, it has a physical presence of kind of going, this is written down, so therefore it's something I need to do. um but neither of those things really work. All that tends to happen is at the end of the day, I just screw up the bit of paper and put it in the bin, or I just end up with a load of jobs to do that are in red and in bold.
Okay. So thank you. I think you've been really clear about what the issue is. If we were able to have some progress in the course of the next 15 minutes, what would make you look back on this conversation and go, wow, yeah, that was helpful?
I think I'm not expecting in 20 minutes for me to come away and go, I can do all my jobs now without any kind of pauses or stops, because I think that's always going to be part of who I am. But I would like to be able to have something where I can go, I can give that a try. I can feel myself kind of just stopping, almost kind of like, I'd like to be able to sort of sit down at the beginning of the day and go, if I've only got 15 jobs, did I get 5 of them done rather than none of them? I think it feels like a small step, and I know that if I could get a couple done or 3 or 4, then I think that would help me in the future, because I can think I could probably do that again.
I noticed when you talked about stopping, I don't know if you could see me, but there was this sort of action.
Yeah.
About that.
So I think my hand is holding me back, but my body is sort of pushing myself forward. So there's a real sense that I want to just, I think that's it. I quite often, if I've got a lot of stuff, I just, right, I'm going to get my head down. I'm just going to crack on with it. And there's almost that sort of coming up for air and going, I've only got a few jobs to do. I can probably slack off now. I've worked really hard. I've got to the point where it's manageable. So I can, and then there's part of me going, yeah, but just do a couple more. Just sort of lean into it and do some more. So I'm kind of, there's a real physical thing about me pushing and pulling.
What happens if you exaggerate it?
If I do that, that feels uncomfortable. That's too far away. That feels as though I'm going to suddenly fail wildly and fall over. And this feels as though I'm almost pushing myself too far, and not rewarding myself for all the work that I have done. It's a kind of, here feels there's a gap sort of in this area, which feels, I'm looking around, I'm feeling sort of physically okay, but I'm still active. I'm still just putting in that little, going the extra mile just to get the other bit of work done, maybe. That feels uncomfortable. That's too far. That here feels okay.
And what does that tell you?
The pushing away is too much. Then that's what happens. I push back and then go, I look around and go, something else needs to be done. So I'm losing that focus. I need to somehow come up for air, have a look round, and then go back again. And I think maybe what I'm doing is, I wonder if I'm not pacing myself right with the other work. So if I've got 60 jobs to do, I can quite easily sit here until I've done 30 or 40 of them. And then it's like, actually, I'm done. I need to sit back. I'm doing that now. I need to sit back, as opposed to, actually, if I do 5 and then have a look round and then get back to it. So it's not one or the other. It's finding that middle working area.
That's interesting, because we started the conversation with you thinking about procrastination when you feel like you haven't got enough to do.
Yes.
And now it seems like we're talking about the other times when you have a multitude of things to do and you have the focus.
Yeah.
What would be helpful for you to look at next?
I think it's like you're saying, it's the shift to maybe when I've got a lot of work to do, and I'm just wondering how much of that is whether I can not do less overall, because the amount of work that I've got is the amount of work that I've got. The work is almost self-generating, not through me, but through just the work. So therefore, it's about maybe looking at how I can manage my time more efficiently, and how I prioritize what I've got to do. I do. What Not that long ago, I was working on a really big project of moving lots of files around. So it's really kind of it's one of those jobs where I was moving one thing. I need to kind of remember where that is whilst I do something else, and then and I just needed to lock myself away almost, and just spent 3 days with my head down all the time. Which got the work done, but I'm not so sure it's well, I know it's not the healthiest way of working. So something around finding an overall better work balance would be good. And it's not sort of work-life balance. It's very much pacing, I think.
So we've got another 10 minutes.
Okay.
I'm hearing something about pacing,
Yeah.
and also needing some time to, you were wanting to come up for air.
Yeah.
I saw this coming up for air, and then there's the tension between holding yourself back and finding the right position. What occurs to you now in terms of how we spend the next 10 minutes?
It feels as though doing something with regard to a healthy pace of getting work done feels really important. When you were doing that, there was an element of me thinking, one of the things that I noticed is that going back to the original procrastination is when I've got 15 jobs, it's kind of, I need a rest. I'm exhausted. And I'm aware that I'm probably sat, if really quite hunched, because I'm just working all the time. And that felt very much like I need to move. I need to shake out. I need to feel more active, and actually I need to be more active whilst I'm working.
Okay. So this to me seems like a new goal, because originally we were working towards, I think it was, you wanted some ideas about how to get more done when you're not busy.
Yes.
But it feels to me like a new session goal is emerging for the remaining time that we have. Am I right in that? Is that right?
Yeah, and it feels almost flipped. It feels almost I need to do, and I'm not sure if this is right, but it feels almost like I need to do less when I am busy rather than trying to do more when I'm not busy. Um, which I must admit I find quite difficult.
Right. And then, I remember you being locked in. There was a thing you had to lock yourself away for 3 days, you said. So what would be a good ending for our session now, given your new learning or your new thinking?
I think it's around looking at how I feel okay about not doing as much. My whole headspace has turned 180 degrees. So I'm now yeah, I was sort of thinking, okay, when I've got a lot to do, I almost need to do less of it, which feels so counterintuitive when I say it like that. But so I guess it's about maybe working out how I can make that from being like this to something I can hold and work with.
We also talked about the level of challenge, and you said an 8 or a 9 out of 10. How are we doing on the challenge score so far?
Absolutely fine. Yeah,
Absolutely fine.
I'm happy for you to be more challenging if you feel there's more challenge to come.
Well, I'm wondering about whether we could bring in other voices, or other stakeholders. Either it could be, what would your worst critic say, or your partner, or your client, or, I'm wondering whether a different voice
Mm.
might bring more of an element of challenge.
So everybody close to me, my partner, my parents, my son, um, my business partner, all kind of say to me, "Oh, take a break, take a don't work so hard," or you know, is there stuff that can wait? Um, so I think any one of those you could bring into this kind of as
And
an extra voice.
so I might be wrong. It seems to me that the driver in you, or the whatever inner voice you have,
Mm.
is um I don't know quite what the right way to say this is. It's almost not hearing those voices.
Yeah, yeah. It's the inner voice is saying, I understand that, but I also have got a list of jobs this long
Hmm.
that I need, and I actually want to get done. I know there is something that I do get quite a bit of a buzz about, you know, having a lot of stuff to do and then getting it all done.
And of course, I'm mindful that you're working in a counselling environment.
Yes.
If you were your client, what would you say to you?
I would be reflecting back that I'm hearing a lot of people saying you need to slow down, and and looking after me. And I think that's what I'm not doing. I'm not looking after myself. Um, so there is an element of maybe saying, right, I'm not going to, and I never want to. I'm never going to get everything done, because as soon as everything's done, other things
Of course.
have come up, and I want that to happen. But so I think there's an element of saying, okay, maybe I don't aim to get everything done, but if I had 7 or 8 jobs left at the end of every day, that would be better than 15 that maybe sit there whilst I don't do anything for 2 days because I'm burnt out from doing too much the rest of the time.
Yeah. We've got just 3 more minutes, so time
Okay.
is running short. And I'm reflecting about the fact that you said you find yourself, I don't know, looking at fluffy kittens or something. I'm wondering what you could do to more consciously choose to spend some of your quieter time in a more conscious way that takes care of you.
Yeah, I'm thinking now, and again, this is everything feels counterintuitive, but I can see where it's coming from. I probably need to actually add some extra things into my day, but there'll be tasks that are to do with taking a break, stopping and maybe going for a walk, or doing some exercise, or whatever it is, something more than just this. It's a bit more of this,
Mhm.
a bit more of being okay. I'm gonna do this sort of thing rather than this until I can't do any more. So that all I can do is this. And if I can sort of do this, find this middle rocking space almost, find then I'll have a much better balance.
So what ideas do you have that might help you give yourself that?
I think what I need to do is, for the next month, find an hour in every day where I block out, where I'm not working, and actually give myself something like a lunch break or a break to do whatever it is I need to do. And that feels a little bit scary, but also something that I think I could really enjoy. And yeah, I think it'd be really beneficial.
I'm wondering if you could actually express that to me as a commitment, you know, what you will do.
I will. Absolutely.
What
Yeah.
what what will you do?
I'm going to look at my diary for the next month and book in an hour every day that I'm working to do something that is not to do with work, but is something positive as well.
When are you going to do this?
I'm going to do that in about 5 minutes once
Okay.
this is finished.
So I'm seeing that the commitment is high.
Yeah.
And I noticed that as I said that, I did that. That was spontaneous. That wasn't me planning that. But I noticed that. What might support you in that?
I think what I need to do is in that hour, not just say, this is an hour to not work. I think and I need to put something in there where I get some form of reward. So whether it be I'm going to cook something, or I'm going to do some exercise, or I'm going to go outside, or maybe go out and take some photographs. I think I need to do something with that time that will give me something more than just sitting back and going, oh, I'm just going to watch cat videos for an hour.
Okay. What might get in the way of that plan?
There'll be nothing stopping me from putting the hour block in. It will be me, I think, sticking to it on a busy day when perhaps I've got a limited space of time, and then maybe a client says, can you fit me in? And it'll be that will be the juggling act of, do I sacrifice my hour for that client time if that's the only time that they can make? So and then that's starting being a bit of a slippery slope. So I think I need to make sure that the times I put in are times where I can be really boundaried with that.
Do you sacrifice that hour for the client that needs you and has limited availability?
Right now, with you challenging me, I'd like to say no, but I also know that there will be the odd time when perhaps I will. And I think that's the bit of slack I need to give myself. So the aim would be no. And in reality, I think 9 times out of 10, it would be no, but there might be the odd time when I do.
How does that feel for you? I mean, I could challenge you more, but I'm sensing a level of comfort with that choice.
Yeah, no, I think if I make it too rigid, then it will feel as though it'll almost feel like a punishment somehow.
I get
And I
that.
think I need to be able to sort of say, it's a bit like any sort of healthy living thing. It's like, if you suddenly just cut out everything, the only thing that you want is that one thing that you can't have. So it's kind of, I think I need to be able to ease myself into that place of, yeah, this is what I'm doing, but I'm giving myself almost permission to do once a month to break that rule.
Okay. And you talked about in the first month, how will you sustain your plan over time?
Once I've built that in for a month, what I will do is, I say I'm going to commit to this. At the end of each week, I will put in a month ahead week, if you like. So it'll always be a rolling target.
Okay, a rolling target. I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
We're sort of out of time, and I'm wanting to ensure a good ending. And I'm noticing that I'm wanting to give you more time than we've committed to having, which is another paradox that's come up within this session. How would you feel if we close the session here?
I really appreciate the sort of that sentiment of wanting to give me more time, but at the same time, I feel as though I've gone from thinking it was going to be about this to it being about this, and to have something that I can physically do to make those changes. So for me, it's been really good. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's not, the irony is not lost on me that I'm doing the exact same thing with you as my client that you would do with your client. But it's been it's just been a real gift to have this opportunity to work with you, and I really thank you so much for being a volunteer. And, well, hopefully we'll stay in touch, and I'd love to hear how you get on.
I will let you know, definitely. Thank you.